Hello. Welcome to Psychonauts 2.
I am back just in time.
I know, yeah. We don't have an art director.
I think we decided on drunk.
Yeah, the drunk one.
When he's sober, he's haunted, but when he's drunk, it's like a drowned world. All the ghosts get washed away and he can tolerate it.
We can't have scale things. Like, I think I need to, like, axe that.
At what point do we need to address the camera a little bit more too?
Everything always looks weird every frame because of the world that you've chosen.
It seems like that's just a problem that's not solved yet, not a problem that's unsolvable.
It's time for Amnesia Fortnite.
Because these people will go back to making games, and I never will.
This is what you have to do.
Well, no, I mean, this is what you have to do.
Zach has ruined that for everyone.
I know, that's what I'm here for, ruining things for everybody. And then the other thing I wanted to say, post AF for everyone is, I would like to see also if we can start moving at a little faster pace. I think the amount of time we spent on Bob Z conceptually is fine. Like, I don't feel like it was wasted time or anything. But I do feel like we could be making quicker decisions about stuff and getting things up and running in the engine and working front to back a little faster than we have on previous levels. And hopefully people are kind of inspired by progress during AF to make that possible, because the main thing right now is not to make a perfect level, but to get an idea of what we're building. I don't feel like the Psychonauts team is quite moving as fast as I know we could be. It's hard to do when you're on a project that's 3 years long or whatever, to keep up the pressure of decision making. And AF, day by day by day, you see the impact of every decision you do or don't make, because the turnaround time on that thing is so short that you're like, okay, I'm making a decision here and it's got to land 2 days later, or the whole thing's going to go off the rails. And just in an environment where those time frames are much, much longer, it's harder to keep that frame of mind. I think we're just very careful on the helmet and early Bob levels of like, is this the right decision? And so things have been a little tentative and not moving quite at the pace that I think they could. So if you feel like we're churning because people are asking you to keep thinking about high level ideas, then we should figure out how to make some decisions and move forward, because I feel we've definitely not made decisions on stuff and it's taken a long time. So I'd rather make some quick decisions and move forward, and then if we decide we want to change it later, we can.
For Bob Z, yeah, it got really desperate towards the end of the concepting phase. We had a bunch of brainstorming meetings where every brainstorming meeting we tried to leave the meeting with a concept we all agreed on.
A withered plant world that you're like bringing back to life. And he's been like cutting it back and cutting it back and cutting it back and keeping it like all tiny and bonsai'd up.
And then like 10 minutes after the meeting, we'd be like, no, we can't do that, that's awful. Like, we ended one meeting thinking about like the dishes in a sink idea, and it was just bad.
Yeah, I think this particular concept was interesting in that it uncovered an important value for Tim for the level, which is that it was very important for him to have it be based in reality in some form.
A thing.
Yeah, because for us it was like, well, everyone likes the concept, like why can't we go forward on this? And that was like, that's why we kind of had to go back to the drawing board. But now that is known,
yeah, I mean
that's
I don't think that was just a Tim value. I think that was there was a set of unarticulated values about what makes a good brain that we just hadn't
thought about.
Yeah. And in general, if something is not good, we should be able to articulate why it's not good. And if we want it to be better, we should be able to articulate like what it would look like to be better. And if I can't do that, then tell me I'm being bad at my job and I need to figure it out. And if Tim can't do that, is my job to extract that from him, not your job. So none of you all are paid to be mind readers.
There's a little bit of divining.
There's a little bit of divining, but like I just don't want y'all wasting time on that.
Agreed.
Yeah. So
I just mean that there's an approval bottleneck, which is.
I will.
I look forward to helping you solve it.
Nap time.
Hi, Andy. Andy's here.
I'm here. Yesterday I wasn't here, and today I am. Starting today. So I'll be kind of rolling on, talking to people, doing some meetings with Tucker and Gavin, and we'll see what goes from there. And as I will now be on this project.
Hooray!
Thank you.
So there's a little like bronze wire farm, or bronze wire mine. So you see all these broken bridges, and there are pieces of bronze wire.
That's a cool idea. That they would like weave it back together using the bronze
so
wire.
all right, well this broke, but we're gonna put this here so that people can. Whoa, you can stand on wires right now. I don't know why that is, but I should have just pressed creepy button. So I pitched the bonsai idea right before our break, and no one ever brought it up again. We're off to the races with the bonsai idea, which was probably not the best way to come upon an idea for the level.
Like in a big, giant, cool, lush, miniature tree. You get what it is, and I think they'll be everywhere. There'll be the presence of the leaves and the branches, and those will always be sort of like going down. And I think the downward motion of like you're sort of delving further and further and further into the root of this tree and the root of his problems, like that downward motion is super important.
So yeah, this is where we're at.
One of the things that I've noticed as you've been running through here is that other than the rails, all of the paths are very terrestrial, like you're running on ground. Is it, like, especially on the top level, there's like lots of bridges that connect everything up. Are those going to be there alone? Are there going to be action paths that connect you between places? Like what's your intention for how the player gets to move around?
Because we haven't gotten to that level of scanning yet.
It feels like the action path related stuff is just sort of like as the structure of the level gets more developed, work on that stuff. Because I feel like the next big thing is sort of like, what is the quest flow? How do these areas connect to each other? How does the flow of the water work and the flooding and unflooding?
And this level is definitely probably the biggest bummer level. Like whichever way we go with it.
So far.
So far.
We have just gotten started.
There's still time.
On the bummers. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Bobsy's been through a lot of different iterations. It was like a Venetian village, and like a big pillar in the sky, and then a terrarium, and then bonsai. I don't know. I think bonsai may have come from Levi. I don't know. And the truck is leaning on a stack of dirty dishes.
Oh, dishes are back.
We use it all. Yeah.
Nice.
And the whole thing is deep fried.
Oh God. Oh, that was a failure.
There's one.
There was no deep fried.
No deep fried yet.
I think that's my favorite one. Which is like that's a strong thing in real life. Like a lot of things went bad on one day. But it feels a little like diluted.
Diluted, not dilute. Yes.
Sorry, Dad.
No. I was clarifying. I was fair.
Yeah, it just feels a little like.
It's always been about the flooding and the unflooding, and that's gonna take a lot of work to get to prove that out. I booted up Wet Dry World, by the way, and started playing that. I was like, I
saw.
Just to see if it was running. Well, I wanted to see if I could get it running before I had anyone watching me. But it's really much harder than I remember that.
All of Mario
the whole
64
game
is much harder than you remember.
Because you have to be the camera
Yep.
like hates you, and you have to be in the right place, and then these little guys just blowing flame on you. But there's still some. They had the floating things that you can probably imagine that use to solve puzzles. There's also like a big shaft of mesh that has a door in the bottom, but you have to blow up a crate. But you have to have it dry so you can blow up the crate, and then you have to have it flooded so you can swim up the unclimbable shaft.
Yeah, I mean, Wet Dry, they get a lot more mileage out of Wet Dry World because Mario can swim.
And when we had this directive right from the beginning of Bob Z that was like, we want to do a water level where it's like you're underwater sometimes, like a Wet Dry World from Mario. And we probably should have sat down and been like, is this actually fun? Do we have the ideas we should have for this idea? Raz can't go underwater. He can't go in water. So now you type in whatever path you want it to go to. So let's say M3, water path M3. And the level kind of tilts appropriately.
Whoa.
So the affected one's tilted in the
Wait,
correct
did you
way.
connect Google Docs and Unreal, or are you just
No,
using that
it's
as a guide to
it's
know
just
what
a
to type?
guide.
Oh, I thought you someone clicked on a link in Google Docs and affected your level. I was like, you guys are getting really good at Unreal.
So those trees, the tree pieces don't move yet, but yeah, so I press B1, so now it tilts over there and then over there. In reality, 2 of the bottom level things would be on at a time, but this is perfectly fine for testing, I think.
Oh, God damn it all to hell. Can I go down here?
Oh, sure, yes.
Oh.
It's fun that you're a programmer, because it's like, you should fix this.
Devin. Whoa. Cool. I really don't like the trampolines.
Wait, what do you like about the trampolines?
Like, oh, I'm going so fast. Now you're not.
Sure.
It feels bad.
That's true.
It's
But
like
make it better.
sticky. It's
You're
also
making
not
the
me.
game.
It's also not me.
Hey, Tim.
Wait, he's holding a light bulb. Metaphor.
Hey guys.
Austin, you're not allowed to laugh when you're the cameraman.
Yeah,
Maybe when you're on camera as a
listen.
level designer.
Oh, God, Amy. That's not good.
Don't. Oh, fuck.
Fucking hell, man.
It's because it only works with static objects.
Wait, this isn't a static object?
No, it's gonna move. Also, all these wires.
This?
Yeah.
It turns out what James actually wants in reality is like significantly more complex. Just now, I've asked James, what's the intention in terms of like when it's tilting on its side and the whole world is tilting? How is this going to work?
Right. That was the main stuff.
Kind of there.
Okay. Well, we'll see. And we'll talk about it. Tazi is working on cool stuff.
Yes.
So you have that in your back pocket. But definitely for like the Bobsy stuff, when it's on like tight kind of deadlines like that, anything comes out of the meeting should be tasked out for those guys.
Yeah.
So we'll be sure to do that going forward. And then we are moving, production-wise, we're moving into our first playable phase, which is where we try and get one level kind of to an arted, kind of pretty state, where you can play through it with as many features as we can get in. Hopefully testing out our cinematic pipelines, dialogue, stuff like that. So lots of planning for that going on too.
Cool.
Wanted to get together and talk about first playable stuff. So we should choose what we're doing very carefully, because I do think it's important to get the game all working in one place. However, I think it's important for us to get the game successfully working all in one place, and also increase the team's momentum and delivery accuracy, I guess. And people are committed to it, and it's not, hey, we need to do this amount of work in this amount of time, do your best, because that's what we're doing kind of right now, and people are doing their best, and we're under-delivering. So because we will be dogpiling this thing, it would be really good if we could just knock the shit out of it.
So I mean, I think we should take a whack at the actual like
flow,
what the game would be saying to you at that point, even though it's going to change, like, because that'll help us see if it works. And so yeah, even in the little first playable, I feel like you can tell a little story because it's going to be a demo.
Right.
It's going to end with an explosion of some kind, right?
We'll throw a car at your face. I mean, I don't know.
Even the train simulator, Microsoft would be like, "Can you end this demo with an explosion?" I'm like, sure. I'm really excited because we have been doing pre-productions for so long on the game, and everything's like been planning and getting things, building the team, getting things organized, and doing roughs and white boxes. And we've done some art tests, but this is the first asset, this large environment that we're building that we're not going to throw away.
If this is the
I think we should
right.
do
So
big shot.
the thing starts. Raz goes whoa, and then it looks around. There's a
Gotta write that down.
intern, right?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Like this is the game is going to have this in it. This is the game. So we're making the game, and it's going to be polished. Like a lot of stuff, you rough in, it's not polished. And this time we're going to like make Raz move right, and we're going to make his psychic powers look right, and we're going to make the world look right and play right, and it's going to be fun.
Ryan asked me to help out as I had the time to, like whenever I could, just like learning like basic white boxing stuff and placing assets and things like that. And that was mostly just making like test levels and like metrics levels, basically, so that designers could have like a universal set of numbers to work from for all that kind of stuff before they started building levels.
Have you been doing stuff on Psychonauts since then? When no one tells me anything. What have you been working on?
Test levels.
What? No one showed me? Why didn't you tell me? Like a metrics room? You're making a metrics room? You're like, you got some good ideas, kid. Go make a metrics room.
And then Asif will be getting his next task this week and move on to that task. Yeah. That's everybody. Thank you. Right, Monday. Yay, Monday.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know you were doing that. Apparently, Asif's on the project. Okay, one of the project leaders from Ninja Fortnite did a really solid job. And so we brought him on the project and gave him some work that we can cut later. And I look forward to seeing your amazing jumps.
There's some pretty sweet jumps in there.
Even with everybody dogpiled on something content-wise, we still are not the fastest moving team in the world. And the brain team is kind of still getting their feet wet and figuring all that stuff out. Should we be doing a small section of hub, which compartmentalizes a little better, because Bobsy is hard to compartmentalize because it's this big open level, and it would be the two most senior level developers just like kicking the crap out of it and sort of showing like what success looks like for that. What do people think? Is that the right thing to do? Like doing a hub section as opposed to the Bobsy section?
My biggest concern with Bob Z is that they still don't know the primary sort of gameplay mechanic, how it's going to actually impact the level in terms of the water flowing through there.
Which we should figure out during White Box, and I have faith they will figure it out. But like we don't know the impact of it in terms of cost on the team.
Yeah. I think the quarry itself is just, we'd have to build the HQ, and we still don't know what that effing thing looks like. So I think that's something that would be a big hurdle.
Let's figure that out. Yeah. Okay. I think probably it's at the point where Levi should be able to spare some time from Bob Z.
Okay.
Because they're.
I'll talk to Levi then.
Like a Rubik's Cube?
Yeah, this is more like the what's it called, museum.
Like the watching brain.
Yeah, I really like this one. This is partially submerged, right? It's still in the water, right? Maybe the water line comes across here or something like that. You can see it extending down.
And then at the end, the whole thing detaches and flies away.
Like, that's this for it.
Yeah.
It does. And the other thing is like the Bob Z level team has been thinking about their level being the one that's going to be focused for the first
Change
playable.
plans. Yeah, that I mean, we can talk to them. I'm not worried about that one way or the other. We're going to do what's right for the project.
Okay.
That doesn't. Yeah, that's not. There is a component of that which is like I would rather have the more senior team on the hook for this. That I would not communicate to them because I don't think that's a very particularly great. That doesn't help them in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But I think there's plenty of other reasons to do it that makes sense.
Okay. So
sounds good.
All right.
I'm pretty excited to see some of these systems that's on here. That's like, oh, we've been needing to do that. We need to do that.
Yeah,
it's gonna
me
be
too.
really good to see it online.
And we would be building the end of the initial demo that never got built.
That's true. So do you want TK with that ropes?
We should still have them. Are they? They're totally broken. They're code routed right now, right? Probably. They are totally code routed. Move that over to now. We're gonna start talking about doing the hub. And first pass of basic economy stuff like pickup and loot drops, getting a version of the quest system in, getting one cutscene, a TBD cutscene with just scratch dialogue in and functional triggers from the game.
And our first playable in the first game was kind of a disaster. we got a really early version of Glorious Theater up, but we had like a little bit of rolling on the ball done, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then we had some enemies, and our whole take on the pacing of everything was just really off. Like, we made the ball really, really big, and it moved really slow because that was the original version of it, and then the side blast was really unsatisfying, and the enemies were just the little flower girls. Microsoft wanted to concept pitch it, so we pitched it to people, and they loved the concept, and they're like, show us the game. And then everyone was really happy, and then we turned on the game, and you could see everyone just kind of sour, like, this isn't all what you said it was going to be. And we just felt it. We just felt it, failing in that first playable. So already the game was in much better shape than that.
Originally, we had talked about doing this in the Bob Z level. And we were going to do that up until like yesterday, basically. It has all kinds of crazy water gameplay that needs a little bit more time to bake. And I think if we tried to polish that up in the next 2 months, I don't think we'd be successful.
It's a toughie. It's a tough cookie. But I think we're making progress, right, Jeremy?
What?
Yep.
What?
Yeah,
Detail,
I
and
don't
then
have any
blend it like
technical
terrain.
advice. It's just it needs to feel miniature.
Is it supposed to be bark?
It's supposed to be the surface of a bonsai tree. So like that,
Okay.
like macro photography.
So we're kind of
like,
on the same page then. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so this all takes place on a bonsai tree. And as we got further into white boxing, we discovered that maybe everyone wasn't sold on the miniaturization stuff. So what we're working on right now is kind of a materials test world to test out all of that stuff and make sure everyone loves the way it looks in action. Because concept art wasn't doing it. Luckily, I don't really have to worry about that. It's like a Jeremy problem.
What? Wait, when you say actual terrain, you mean like Unreal terrain?
Yes. For the platform parts.
For the platform parts, because that's the like density of detail that you're gonna need.
I guess I'm kind of out of my comfort zone right now, just because like I haven't like done art in so long.
Hey, so
Anyone answer this question? Can we open up the material test room and start reviewing stuff in context there? Okay, so let's just take a look at that. So the floor texture thing is one of the big things that you're working on. So like the major thing to look at right now is the actual little porcelain buildings, which are not quite there. Yeah, I mean, it also just does not read as a miniature. Like the exaggeration of like the glaze, the bulbousness of the glaze, and the fineness of the cracks.
Yeah,
like it does not read as small at all.
Yeah, the level just feels like it has too many scales. So you have like bonsai tree is like a miniature tree. Then we're doing like a miniature raz on a miniature tree, and then there are these porcelain figures which are miniature even for porcelain figures, and then there's big buildings that are like bigger than they would be in real life. It was just there are too many scale references going on, so we're trying really hard to get it down to one so it's super understandable. And that's what Jeremy and Levi and Tazi are working on for the most part.
The thing that we're talking about doing for like this kind of big town square is as though it was like a chunk of the tree where the bark's worn away and some dirt has settled there. So it's a mix of, I mean, Levi did a paint over that we can look at real quick actually, just to get Tim on board with where we are. Boop.
I'll never be on board with this idea. I'm just creating an arc for the documentary.
Yeah, so it's the idea that it's kind of like going around it.
Cool.
Yeah.
That is a cool rock.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I think it's starting to get really, really cool. And actually, do you have the water droplet on your machine? Just to I just wanted to show Tim real quick. And then it goes.
Oh, that's neat. Look at that.
It's like in the Hub 1 test world.
All right, maybe it needs a little less angular dampening.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
That's
But it's
fun.
proof of concept.
You trap people in it. Just drown people.
You drown people.
Small people just
And just
drown
put it right over their head.
That's neat.
In order for like the level to sort of function and read as what it's trying to be, we needed a little bit more sort of advanced structure, something that was communicating the bonsai-ness of the level, which was pretty key. Like essentially some weird problems that we had to solve. And I got involved pretty early on to start looking into sort of specifically water effects, because we knew that we wanted water to be a really big part of that level. So one of the things was there's this feature in Unreal called distance fields. We can use it to deform the sphere so it feels like it has surface tension and it's reacting to the ground. Your eye just accepts it as like, oh yeah, that's just totally water. That's the way water works. And you can see, yeah. Why am I telling you guys how to break it? But you can see it also reacts a little bit poorly to things being in the foreground. So you can see, like around Raz, this little halo, because he's totally in that map.
Oh, okay. It almost looks like you're seeing a reflection of him in there, though.
Yeah, totally, right? I'm still uncertain because we're not at all finished with the way water is going to function at the level, and there's still like a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah. So a couple of things that jump out at me. When you're trying to sell a small scale, so looking at that, say, I'm assuming that's wood, even though I'm sure there's microscopic wood grain that if you were tiny you would see, our human brains just assume that the wood grain will be at a bigger scale. Like that's to me is like tiled to me point. Like I would expect to see a wood knot like you would get on a board, but it'd be giant, right?
You need a pen?
Where'd it go? It's heavy.
Yeah.
Thanks. Well, right now, it's kind of scary right now because we have a lot of shit to do and we don't have a full team to do it. It's just like, I guess finding people is hard. Like we don't have an art director yet. That's really crazy to me. I mean, that's like one of the cool things about working here is like, they don't just hire people. I mean, like it's tough because like we don't have the people we need, but also when they do hire someone, like there's no problems working with them because they went through that whole vetting process. Like I worked at EA before, and they would just hire like the best people to do the best job or whatever. But man, sometimes it was so hard working with those people. Like we go to lunch and just bitch about people the whole time. They just want this fucking awesome guy doing this VFX, but then you have to fucking work with other people, and then it becomes a nightmare. Yeah. So I mean, it's tough because we don't have the people we need, but it's also nice that when we do get someone that they're fucking awesome to work with. So that's cool.
There are definitely times where you can feel that we're missing an art director, but there's a lot of talented artists in the studio and a lot of like really good opinions. And you do at some point you do kind of want to stop stubbing temporary assets in and want to be able to say, this is like at least close to where we're headed. And then just today I added this very important feature where you can bloop them together, and if I can aim, I can also break them apart.
Yes.
Aren't you afraid of water?
But there's surface tension, so it doesn't hurt you until it bursts. Come on! So, Quarry.
Yeah, it's very, very bright. It's really warm out here, I guess. I don't know.
Also, trampolines with sound are so much better. Look at that.
Yep.
That video game just happened there. That was great. And then there's a button.
Oh my God. With actual interactivity?
What?
This is insane.
Oh.
And the ladder doesn't appropriately update, and the tightrope doesn't either, so we'll fix those things.
Look, it's fine.
And
You
make them
fixed
better.
it. You fixed it. That's not good.
That's jumping. That just happened. I've never seen that before. This is exciting. New feature is happening all the time.
Oh, breakables.
And we just broke a thing and got experience out of it.
Aaron did breakables and loot tables, so those things drop stuff that you can pick up and they break, and we'll be able to make more breakable stuff.
That's a bad camera, but it will be a lot better in the future.
Cameras are tricky. Yeah, so it was kind of a joke for a while on the team about designating like what programmer was going to end up working on the camera system because nobody really wanted to.
The only thing is that stuff gets really hard, really fast. Like trying to do some procedural, like, oh, it always leads the player, or it always goes off
I'm
to the
aware it
side,
is a complicated thing because camera systems are notoriously difficult to do well. If a camera is done really well, you don't really notice it.
Unreal comes with a third-person camera out of the box.
It does. It comes with a third-person follow camera, but it's very, very simple. It doesn't really handle any of the weird situations you get into. It pretty much just says, hey, like, here's the character. We're going to look at the character and be a certain distance away, and like that's it.
If the game is moving the camera around when the player didn't expect it,
it'll
they suddenly
screw
jump off the side that they weren't planning on.
So it's kind of interesting because there's a lot of pressure to do well, but it's sort of a thankless job.
Cameras are complicated.
They are. They are complicated.
I made a spring-based camera system and quickly found that that was likely going to make people nauseous and have other problems. So I'm going to scrap that.
Do you ever need someone to bomb test your camera?
I promise. If you want to take a look at it, I'll show you. I promise it would be unpleasant.
She meant your brother.
So here, for example, you can see how when Raz jumps, there's that white sphere that follows him up. And it shows that his position is moving, but we are not moving the camera here. This is a good example of not trying to make people sick, where if you jumped, and every single time you jumped, the camera kind of jumped with you, that would get really, really old really quickly. This is where we want to give a wider view. When you're climbing, it would be kind of annoying to have the camera in so close. There's the camera manager that I wrote doing a smooth interpolation between two different places. And I also know it's a big responsibility. It's an important part of the game, and so I want to do a good job at it. And I want to be able to put the game out and not have to worry about reviewers or people playing the game complaining that it's difficult to control the camera.
What? Almost done. Remember this notebook? I got it on Broken Age, but I just got to finish it. It means I haven't been doing enough free writing. That's cool how much platforming stuff that it's already up and running. Developing platform is like a million tiny little things. And so until you get them all done, which is like the end of the project, it just never, it's always kind of hard to get around. It feels kind of chunky, but it feels pretty good. Like you can go from piece to piece without getting stuck in the geometry. And I wonder if I was supposed to go down here. I don't like that popping side balloon. The first game lasts forever, and I understand why that's a problem for platforming. I just think it's not fun right now that it doesn't last at all. Maybe because I've been playing a lot of Zelda, and I paraglide everywhere, just because it's more fun. I mean, I feel the first playable level is a real world level, and the platforming feels really good on it, so I feel good about that. So we just have to, hit that milestone now with a mental world. We don't have that yet. We don't have a mental world where you're feeling like you're having surreal fun yet. They're all very, Bob's is still in the white box phase and has iterated a lot. And that's the farthest ahead of all the mental worlds.
Since levels ended up being significantly bigger than Helmet's level, because this is kind of the footprint of the level proper, and then these are all the buildings that you go into in the level, so kind of accidentally made like 6 levels. I guess, but if the idea is that we're trying to get rid of like an entire set, and we'd still want the optional stuff.
Yep. Yes, it will.
Well, here's
We'll
the
work on
thing.
representing
Well, here's the thing is that like I don't think it makes sense to do the water before we have the branches, and the branches aren't going to get done until like Jeremy has a lot of work to do. Yeah, because the alternative is like just waiting for them to finish what they're doing, which isn't really an option. There's the possibility that whatever we land on will like drastically change the shape and geometry of the level, so that's kind of terrifying. But
Are you used to that at this point, though?
it's weird doing it from behind, where I'm like still working on something that I feel like is going to be cut. Don't laugh at me, Emily. Why are you laughing? Shut up, guys.
We don't just get to keep taking time infinitely. There's a point where we have to draw a line. A big part of it is everybody thinks it's overscoped. We just don't know what to do about that.
Well, we know it's overscoped. We need some data on how much.
How much, yeah.
So that we can cut intelligently and not just be like, it's too big, drop it all up.
Sure.
At what point do we kind of go, all right, Bob Z is representation-ish. Let's get moving on to the next one. Each level is its own different thing. And some come together quickly and some don't. Sometimes you get an idea and it takes you getting all the way 2/3 of that idea before you go, oh, this isn't gonna work. It's just not gonna work. We thought that we could have this thing that would look this way at this point, and it took us all the way getting there to realize, oh, it's not gonna work. Is there a way that you maybe could have figured that out? I don't know. Maybe, but sometimes you have to bring it to that point to realize it's just not gonna work the way you intended it to be. So, okay, how do you fix that? How do we change it? And sometimes you have to take the time to go, okay, scratch it. We'll try something else. The situation we're in with Bob Z, there's going to be overlap. I mean, the reason this is happening is because James is essentially done with gameplay elements of Bob Z.
Not yet.
Yeah. No. The only thing that I have been, it's communicated to me, he's finishing up the puzzle work.
Yeah, like he's finishing up his first implementation of that, but we need to review it and then get feedback.
The next brain will be Hollis's brain, which I think, unless we've changed it, is still a brain about addiction.
Schedule-wise,
yes,
this sprint was when we're supposed to kick that off.
Right. That's totally fine.
It is absolutely concerning, and if we want to, our option is to start the concept phase to just get that going, because James right now does not have enough work to fill up his 2 weeks.
We can definitely
on Bob Z.
What are you actually advocating for?
This level's gone on for eternity, and this meeting will probably determine whether or not it'll keep going for more than a week or so. I'm trying really hard to convince Ryan and Zach that it doesn't need to go on for longer than a week.
Doesn't?
Does not. Hopefully coming to the last week of action path work. I hope. I pray.
Well, we should keep reviewing it to make sure that's the case.
Okay.
So I haven't had a chance to play through it in a while. What state is it at for all the tilting being represented in representative?
The puzzles are stubbed in. The
Okay.
tilting does not work because we need tree pieces. And that is not on the top of Jeremy's task list.
Okay.
But
I'd like to get out of representative with that stuff being like also representative.
I think everyone on the team is really tired. Cam, are you tired?
No.
There's the theater interior.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, we also can cut areas that are done. Like, sad as it is, like, it may still be the right decision to cut an area that already is at representative. Like,
Sure. I don't know the 2 or 3 that are done.
Sure. No, I'm just saying that when you're considering cuts, how almost done something is often a real sunk cost fallacy, just because how done, like, the reality of it is the amount of done that anything in our video game is right now is very little compared to how much work we're gonna have to do on it.
Totally.
And so there may be a place where, like, sadly, that you've already done a representative pass on, but it's actually worth it.
The first thing you do in any game, the first thing you do when you enter the games industry is you should be cut. First thing I did was ship combat in Monkey Island, cut Because it teaches you not to get attached to anything.
Ship combat?
Yeah. Remember the ship combat in Monkey 1?
Mm-mm.
And that's because it got cut. It was great. And Ron saw that my star was rising too fast, and he's like, we're going to cut your shit. And he did. And now I'm going to do it to James.
Alternatively, we can sit down, ballpark it, and just cut some shit from the hip. Like, that's the other alternative. If we don't feel like we have the ability to actually estimate what this level is going to take us to build, that's bad, and we should fix that problem. But we can also just do it, gut check it.
Since I don't know Unreal that well, I just open up the file and I just start deleting.
Yeah.
You guys just have to deal with it. Like, I don't know what that is.
We yell stop when we think it's the right size.
I mean, when I was listening to all this, I was kind of like, well, if you keep all the examples involve you cutting it by 50%, when you just go in.
I think we haven't quite gotten where we need to be creatively with them, and we'll probably come back later on and layer on more crazy ideas.
Cool. Thank you, everybody.
Video games, freshly made.
I do think the level's come a long way.
I do too.
It absolutely has.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I do think some crazy shit is going to happen over the process of making this game, though.
Yeah.
Christ.